Imagine a new shooter that promises to combine the flavors of Ubisoft's biggest franchises. Think Far Cry's rebellious energy, The Division's gritty urban warfare, and a dash of Tom Clancy's tactical touch, all rolled into one fast-paced, free-to-play arena. That was the big idea behind XDefiant. When Ubisoft actually announced XDefiant, everyone was intrigued. It launched, millions of people jumped in, and they were excited to try something ultimately fresh and free. Influencers praised its controls and its flexible factions, and it looked like it might be the next massive shooter to stand shoulder to shoulder with the biggest shooters out there. But just about a year later, Ubisoft decided to shut it down. So what actually happened? How did a game with so much promise lose its momentum and fade out so quickly? Today we're going to dig deep into XDefiant's short but eventful life, from its thrilling start to its disappointing end. By the time we're done, you'll see what lessons we can learn from its rise and ultimately its fall, and why success in gaming isn't just about a strong debut. Let's rewind to when XDefiant was first revealed by Ubisoft in July 2021. The studio pitched its fast-paced, free-to-play first-person shooter that would draw on familiar factions from the most famous IPs. Picture special units drawn from The Division's underground rebels, Far Cry's wild freedom fighters, or perhaps something even out of the Tom Clancy universe, playing together on one battlefield. The appeal was clear: take characters and styles players already loved, give them unique abilities and roles, and throw them into an intense 6v6 mosh pit and see who can win. Ubisoft also promised something that players crave in modern gaming: regular updates, seasonal content drops, and close communication with the community. In theory, this meant if you had feedback, Ubisoft would listen. If you wanted new maps, they'd be on their way. On paper, XDefiant looked like a gift to fans who were tired of steep entry costs or feeling ignored by big publishers. Back then, it really felt like Ubisoft had learned from past mistakes. They aimed to deliver a shooter that wasn't just a flash in the pan, but a living, breathing platform that would grow over time. And for a while, it seemed like things might just work out that way. When XDefiant launched in May 2024, it burst into the scene with impressive numbers for a new shooter. According to a report from Charlie Intel, it actually broke Ubisoft's record for unique players during its opening week, even surpassed 15 million total players. And that is huge, considering in a genre as crowded as shooter market, you're competing with Battlefield and even Call of Duty. But the reason was simple: it cost nothing to try. No £60 or £70 up front, no DLCs, you just download it and see if you like it. For many early players, it clicked. They praised the responsive gunplay, the aiming felt tight, the movement was smooth, the time to kill was balanced enough to keep matches excited. Streamers jumped on board too. Influencers on Twitch and YouTube showcased the game's faction abilities and fast-paced matches, helping more people discover it. Ubisoft even seemed responsive, with devs talking to players on social media, teasing updates, and hinting at massive plans in the future. The mood was electric. It felt like XDefiant might become a permanent fixture on the FPS scene. Maybe not dethroning giants like Call of Duty overnight, but carving out his own niche. The community was hopeful and, more importantly, willing to stick around to see what came next. But as the weeks turned into months, cracks started to appear. The biggest issue? Server stability. It's hard to enjoy a match when you're lagging, rubber banding, or getting disconnected mid-game. What was once a smooth, adrenaline-pumping shooter turned frustrating when you had to fight servers as much as the enemy team. Players voiced these concerns online in Twitter threads, Reddit posts, and forum complaints, and eventually this all piled up and reached the devs. Then there was the in-game store. While everyone understood that free-to-play games need some form of monetization to survive, many felt that XDefiant's prices were just too high. Players worried that cosmetics and certain items cost too much, and a few even whispered about certain pay-to-win elements. Whether that was true or not, the perception hurt trust. In competitive shooters, even a hint of imbalance tied to spending can push players away and completely obliterate any chance of a competitive scene. Communication started to falter too. Ubisoft, once active in responding to feedback, grew quieter. Updates took longer, explanations felt vague, and patch notes didn't address the community's biggest concerns quickly enough. As players felt ignored, their patience wore thin. Those that had jumped in with excitement started spending less time in-game and more time looking for the next alternative. Another subtle but serious challenge was the game's identity. Earlier on, using Ubisoft's various franchises felt like a really cool twist. After the initial wow factor faded and the novelty wore off, players asked what sets XDefiant apart from everything else out there. In a world where Overwatch had hero abilities perfected, Call of Duty offered familiar gun feel and established brand loyalty, and Apex Legends had fast-paced battles with unique characters. XDefiant needed something to stand out and be truly distinct. Unfortunately, many found it didn't quite have that something. It did few things well, but it didn't create a lasting impression that said, this is what makes XDefiant different. Without a strong brand identity or a gameplay mechanic that stood out, players found it easier to drift back to other games they knew and loved. If something's not holding your attention, especially in a genre with so many high-quality options, it's natural to move on. And as the player base shrank, matches became harder to fill. Long wait times and half-empty lobbies replaced the earlier hype, and meanwhile, Ubisoft faced internal challenges of its own. According to reports from Reuters and PSU, the publisher had experienced studio closures and layoffs. This meant fewer resources to fix problems or develop fresh content at the pace needed to regain player interest. And by December 2024, Ubisoft announced that they would discontinue XDefiant, planning to shut down its servers by June 3rd, 2025. It was a quiet, disappointing end to a game that once held so much promise. Instead of maturing into a well-loved FPS staple, XDefiant's journey showed how even a strong start can fall apart when technical issues, communication missteps, and a lack of distinct identity stack up. So, what can we learn from XDefiant's rise and fall? First, a massive launch day number doesn't guarantee long-term success. It takes consistent technical stability, fair and transparent monetization, and steady communication to keep players engaged. Gamers these days have high standards, and if the game doesn't meet them, they'll walk away, no matter how strong the brand behind it. Secondly, communication isn't just a launch week thing. Players need to know that the developers hear them and respect their opinions, especially when these problems arise. Silence can be interpreted as indifference, and nothing pushes a community away faster than feeling ignored. And finally, identity matters. With so many shooters on the market, you need to offer something fresh and innovative, whether it's unique gameplay mechanics, a memorable art style, or an innovative progression system. Without a clear reason to choose XDefiant over all of these other titles, players had no reason to stick around. XDefiant's story isn't just about one game's downfall, it's a case study in how challenging it is to succeed in the modern gaming landscape. If you're a player, maybe this will make you more cautious with new releases, waiting to see if early promises hold up before you sink all of those hours into it. If you're a developer, consider this a reminder that every aspect of your game, tech stability, pricing, communication, and more importantly, originality, needs your attention. What do you think the biggest reason XDefiant couldn't keep its momentum? Was it the server issues, the pricing, the lack of identity, or the drop in communication? Let me know in the comments. If you found this breakdown useful, give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories behind the games we play. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.